Good playgrounds should feel like part of the community, with local features, trained lifesaver huts, tractors and tank stands and sheepdogs running around. Playgrounds aren't just about having some fun. They're also about kids growing up and developing skills.
For us at Playworks, it's about giving the child a life experience.
The umpires as a group, we're a vital part of the sport of hockey. But unfortunately there's quite often not enough of us to cover all of the competitions that are available. Those that stick at it find it very rewarding and contribute greatly to the sport itself. Hockey, everyone involved in hockey as a player, and particularly Masters players who have been at it for quite a while, understand that umpires don't grow on trees, and we've been trying to develop our numbers over years with different methods. Masters as a group have often been one of those competitions that don't get allocated umpires, so we tend to have to be self-sufficient. Masters as a group, as a committee, have decided that there was a possibility of a win-win situation for Masters hockey and for the wider hockey umpires development, in that we could provide some funds to a scholarship scheme to provide 2 years' worth of mentoring and coaching to a young umpire, and that would help the wider hockey community, but also the win-win for Masters would be that they would be expected to umpire at least 2 games of hockey a week in their Masters competition, so we get some bang for our buck, and the wider hockey community get another umpire. Masters is played on a weeknight, and we play some quite late games, so it's not always very attractive for umpires to come out on those nights. So this was an opportunity to give this a crack and help at both ends of the scheme.
These 2 young guys are the recipients of the Masters Scholarship, which we've implemented, as Rod has outlined before. My job is the umpires coach, and if they can handle Masters, old heads with new skills, they can master BHL.
I've been limited in my playing capabilities this year, so I decided it was going to be a year for me to give back to the game that I've always loved, and I took up the potential for the scholarship, and it's gone from there really.
When I've started umpiring, I've just done it to increase my knowledge of the game as a player, but now as I'm getting more into it and I'm becoming a better umpire, I'm really understanding how the umpires are the third team in the game. I mean, without a good game has good umpires, and without the umpires there really is no game. And I'm taking it upon myself now to help the other players and the other teams out by allowing them to experience good hockey.
It's been eye-opening to understand the game from a different perspective, and as well as the interpretation of the rules, and also just to really just get myself out there in the sport of hockey and give back to a sport that's given me something for the last 16 years.
And we've been learning about confidence in umpiring, and yeah, the players have been taking it really well, and I think it's improving the competition as a whole.
Okay, when we do our mentoring, they will be umpiring before, say, we play. So we'll watch them specifically in that game. We will coach them at half-time and full-time, more at full-time, so we don't want to change their interpretations between halves. But the things we want them to do is get their positioning right, get the confidence right, get their presentation right, so that even if they do make a wrong call, if they're in the right position, then they can sell that decision. And that's half the trouble with young people trying to come on. They don't know how to have the confidence to overcome people who have been playing hockey for a number of years. That's what we're trying to do, build up their personal confidence, then their knowledge of the rules. Then as they progress up the ladder, we'll teach them the finer skills that'll take them on to representative umpiring.
Umpiring is fun as well. So
Fun?
Yeah.
Not too many people say that it's fun.
Well, if you enjoy it, then it's great. I mean, if you do it for a while, then it leads up to international competitions, and I mean, that's the goal, really.
Congratulations, Max and Alex. Welcome to the umpiring club. Myself, lucky enough to go to Rio as an umpire this year. So any questions you'd like to know, to learn about umpiring and how to get to where I am today.
To become an umpire at that level, what sort of steps do you have to take?
Okay, so it's much like the players. So we start out getting our grades through Brisbane comp and then getting to representative level. And just like the players, we go through national under-13s, under-15s, and if you're going well, every time you get a report and marked by your umpire manager. Might be Alan, might be Gary Marsh, might be myself one day if you're lucky. And if you're going well, you step through the ranks. Finally, you get up to Australian National League level, and then you'll get to your international badge. And there's 5 levels international. So once you get through that, you finally get onto what they call the World Panel or Olympic Panel. And from that, you're getting World Cups and Olympic Games.
Is the better standard make it easier or harder as an umpire? What's it been like?
I started, my first test match was 2003. My first National League panel was 1997. So it takes a long time to get through all the experiences. You have some fantastic experiences, you get some great friends. I've got a crazy Argentinian mate who picks up firecrackers after a game, some Spanish friends, some Zimbabwe, so literally around the world. So some great experiences. There's a lot of time and effort goes into it, there's no question about that, and there's a lot of emotional energy being an umpire, dealing with the players, getting time off work. Once one day you have a family, getting time away from there, so there's some real challenges in balancing out life to do that.
Sometimes it is harsh to make a call that can be 50-50, especially in a critical time of the game. How do you really deal with that?
Yeah, good question. So you've got to remember it's a game of hockey. So once you're out there, regardless if you're at the Olympic Games or it's an under-13 semi-final or it's a country final, it's still a game of hockey, and you've got to make sure when you're making that decision, it's just about the rules and that scenario in front of you. Understanding the context and why players might react the way they do can be quite important. So the test matches I did last week, all those players are ready for Olympic selection and they're all on edge. So you might not be too harsh on them understanding that background, but when you make that one decision, is it a stick check, is it a foot, it still has to be about the rules of the game.
How much has the game changed and how much as an umpire have you had to adapt to the new things that people are doing?
So I was probably the last of the kids that played on grass. So I think at under 18s I first started playing on turf hockey. Back then we had offside, which Alan and Rod would remember quite well. And then just the whole getting used to AstroTurf and the speed of that and then the skills of it. So not many guys can trap a ball upright in the air. Back in the day, put a ball up this high and guys would pick it out of the air. So the skills have changed drastically. We didn't have slap hits, we didn't have drag flicks. So then the athleticism at the top level means our players are much faster and we get much busier. So the distance players are travelling means when you're around the circle, you've got a lot more players in the circle. For as an umpire, it gets a lot harder now because we're so much more busier. And they keep adding new rules for us, which keep us even busier mentally. So as an umpire, it's a real challenge to make sure you've got the focus on the right thing and then having the downtime so that you can relax. And that's actually quite important in not getting stressed out, not getting overwhelmed in the course of a game.
Adam, what's the hardest thing about being an umpire?
For me, to get to this level, it's the amount of emotional energy you put into it. It's all your friends around you, trying to work out if you can get time away from work, your family, your training and they're taking care of your kids, you're bouncing things off people you respect, trying to make sure you get everything right. And there's a huge amount of actual energy that you just put in emotionally to get to it in the right frame of mind. And there's a big price to it that comes behind the scenes. Great stage once you're there, but there's plenty that goes into it.
So Adam, what is the financial cost to yourself for being an umpire?
Preparation, there's at the moment a lot of medical there, trying to keep the body and the mind in order. The biggest challenge is the time away from work, and at the moment the Olympics will be time without pay for a full month, and then preparation tournaments on top of that. So there's quite a bit of cost there on salary and just getting everything in order. You don't want to leave any stone left unturned.
I've always taken the umpires while I'm playing for granted. I didn't realise that there's so much precision in umpiring.
Probably the best thing I've discovered so far about umpiring through the Vet Scholarship is actually my perception of the game from a different point of view. Being able to see the game played in a different light and understand it in a different perception as well. It also opens your eyes to rules that you might not have known about, as well as sometimes an umpire's perception of that rule.
I was kind of ignorant to most of the rules before I started umpiring.
The one thing I took away from the state titles in Toowoomba was that higher class of hockey. Watching it be played and then also understanding the rules a little bit better by that time, having Alan by our sides at full time and half time just to help us understand why some other umpires might have blown a call that I might not have.
Even off the field, watching it with Alan, it was really good to see how the umpires on the field are seeing the game and how the players are responding to the umpires.
Though if you are interested in following up on this and you are interested in umpiring next year, not only just to get a better idea of the game of hockey, but to give back to the game and in some sense get a financial reward from this, contact BHA as this scholarship will be available next year.